If you studied English for years in school and still struggle to understand real English, this video is for you. I'm going to explain the one thing almost all traditional language classes get wrong. And once you understand this, learning English becomes easier, more enjoyable, and much more effective. I didn't fully understand this myself until I started learning my fourth language. And honestly, I wish someone had told me this 20 years ago. This approach is completely different from what most of us experienced in school. It doesn't focus on memorizing vocabulary lists or studying grammar rules. And yet it works, even for adults over 30 or 40. Over the next 7 days, I'm going to give you a simple but powerful advice that will dramatically improve your English comprehension, and later, your speaking as well. If you understand most of what I'm saying right now, you're actually in the right place. Okay, today we will look at the first key to learning English, which is the greatest secret to speaking English, or any language for that matter. I had never heard of it until I started learning French 3 years ago. And honestly, it helped me so much. I wanted to tell the whole world about it, so everyone could experience the joy I had learning French. Honestly, I think the younger generation of 20-year-olds linked into social media are doing it automatically, but I still think it's a secret for people closer to my age. I'm about 40 years old, give or take. Okay, so the very first tip is to not go to a traditional language school or to learn like you did in school. This means do not memorize vocabulary lists, do not spend time studying grammar and filling out grammar worksheets. Maybe this statement surprises you, and maybe you're already thinking, but how can I learn English if I don't memorize vocabulary or study grammar? First of all, remember that I said this video series is not meant for people who have no knowledge of English. So if you're understanding less than 40% of what I'm saying, you want to start somewhere else. Duolingo is pretty good for the beginning. But for those who are following and understanding me, let's get to this great secret of learning, and yes, speaking a language. This secret is listen to a lot of English content. However, having said that, just listening to a lot of content is not enough. You also need to have material that helps you with comprehension. But this is also not enough. You also need to have material that maintains your interest and material that you want to understand, material that you are passionate about. But even this is not enough, because you need to have a wide variety of resources so you won't lose motivation and you won't get bored. And this is exactly what I am trying to provide to learners. A wide range of interesting videos spoken in real English, using words that you would hear in real English contexts. This is the work I am dedicated to providing so that I can help others experience the same joy I had with learning French and now Italian. I learned both of these languages without living in the countries, which is something I will talk about later. To continue, I'd like to give you a quote from Stephen Krashen, who is a former university professor and is rather famous for his theory of language acquisition. Some of the words I changed so that it's easier to understand. Stephen Krashen, in pointing out how ridiculous the methods used in traditional language classes are, has greatly helped me and countless others, so I'm really grateful. If you wanted to ruin the game of baseball for boys, one of the best ways would be to institute lessons of baseball in every school and make efficiency in baseball necessary. You could create quizzes on baseball and create long lists of facts about baseball that should be memorized, and then quiz students on interpretations and trends linked to baseball, and create courses and have long discussions on the best strategies for throwing and catching the ball, viewing the game as something incredibly serious that can be systematically broken apart and analyzed. In this way, you would make a game into a painful occupation. Sure, some good students would still do all that was required and maybe even be good at this type of baseball, but a lot of students would end up hating baseball for the rest of their lives. And this is exactly what schools have done with foreign languages for centuries. Instead of teaching the language naturally, they've forced us to do things that are mostly ineffective, like memorizing long lists of vocabulary and trying to memorize rules of grammar and all their exceptions. So, if your English isn't as good as you'd like it to be right now, the first thing to understand is this: it's not your fault. So, having now talked about the wrong way to teach or learn a language, let's talk about the right way. Rule number 1 is listen to a lot of English. You have to listen to a lot of English, authentic English spoken by real English people. Content should be in the large part comprehensible for you, which is why I always provide subtitles and transcripts for my videos, which help enormously in the process. If you listen to things you don't understand, your learning is going to be much slower. If you do find sentences or phrases you don't understand in these videos, don't worry, because your brain will help you understand the rest based on the context. Obviously, if you see a word a few times and you're curious to know the meaning, you can always look it up on an online dictionary or translator. The key is to actually listen to content multiple times. We'll talk about this more in the next video, but if you listen to content several times, your brain will automatically pick things up and begin to use grammar in the right way, without you even having to worry about grammar rules. Our brains are truly magnificent, and as long as you expose your brain to the language in ways where you understand about 70%, your brain is going to figure out the rules and structure automatically. It really is amazing to watch your brain do this. All you have to do is feed it. To quote Stephen Krashen again simplifying words as necessary, the best methods are those that offer comprehensible input in low anxiety situations, that give students input they will want to understand and doesn't force them to speak right away before they are ready. Instead, the best methods understand that improvement in the language comes through listening to comprehensible input and not forcing and correcting speech. Honestly, this is quite logical if you think about it. It's exactly how we all learned our first language, and how we just started talking without worrying about making errors. Have you ever seen a child stressed because he doesn't remember the correct tense to use? I haven't. It really makes you wonder why the foreign language classes in school have taught in such a strange way all these years. We don't learn our mother language in this way at all. It also explains a bit why the traditional methods have, in large measure, failed for countless students and makes them believe they are not good in languages. Now, some of you might be thinking, but Mike, we aren't children anymore. It's not possible to learn just through listening. Well, the first thing I'd say is, it absolutely is possible, and it's exactly how I learned French, again, while not living in France. The second thing I'd say is, as an adult learner, we actually have 3 advantages. Number 1, we can already speak one language, which helps greatly in comprehension of the foreign language. 2, we already know the alphabet, if it's a Roman language. 3, we know how to concentrate while listening. In my university classes and online courses, I don't always use listening. I use a wide variety of other methods to help people reach a high level of English. But all my lessons are based around this concept of comprehensible input, and in fact, the other keys to learning language in my other videos of this series. Also, I have my own personal experience. I moved to Germany 15 years ago, and with time and a lot of effort, I have a very high level of German. And I even work as a counselor in the German language. However, I wish I had known these concepts that I got through learning French, because as I said, in 3 years, I have attained a level in French not that far behind my German level. Most recently, I started learning Italian, and after 1.5 months, I can watch YouTube videos in Italian. Of course, it depends on what content I watch, but because I know what to look for, I can find great YouTube videos. By the way, I am not specially talented. I just know the most efficient way to learn a language now. And so I don't waste a second longer on activities that will not maximize my learning. And I am not unique. Other students who apply these methods report similar results. This is not to say that I speak perfectly in either German or in French, but then again, I also make mistakes when I speak in English, my mother tongue. All the time, in fact. I just correct myself quickly and move on. One of the most amazing things about this idea of comprehensible input, besides the fact that we acquire vocabulary naturally through context without the need to memorize lists, is that our spoken English gets better. Obviously, speaking is a skill that needs to be trained, but the best way to get better at speaking is to listen to a lot of content before sessions of speaking. This is a subject for another day, however. Before I end, let me summarize the first rule. It's super simple. To have success in learning English, avoid traditional courses and teachers that only focus on grammar or memorizing lists of words or phrases. You should listen to at least 30 minutes of English content a day, but you can start smaller at the beginning. Now, I hope you like this first video and find it helpful. You can actually use it as content to help improve your English. By listening to this and understanding, you are already improving your English in the most effective way I know. If these videos are helpful for you, you can support this channel by liking the video or subscribing. It really helps other learners find this content. And if you feel like it, leave a comment. I read them and it helps me know what kind of content is most useful for you. I'll see you all tomorrow for the second rule, which is repeat, 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 where I'll explain the importance of listening to the same content multiple times. Before you move on, remember, listen to English you understand, listen to it more than once, and do a little every day, relaxed and without stress. If this video is helpful, listen to it again another day. Repetition is part of the learning. And when you're ready, I'll see you in the next video, where we'll look at the next key to learning English.